Hello there. We are here for video 15 today. And this is the last video in chapter 3. So aside from our chapter review, this is the last little bit of new material. So this is chapter 3, section 9. And this is all about graphing linear inequalities. So this shouldn't be a very long video. There's just a couple of things that I need to remind you. So I want you to recall that an inequality is a less than or greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. And essentially, you're going to graph these just like a regular equation. But I need you to remember that if you have a less than or greater than symbol, you're going to use a dotted line when you graph. If you have a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to, these will have a solid line, so they'll look like normal. And then the other thing that you need to remember is that we are going to shade the entire solution area after you graph the line. Okay, so essentially, if the equation is not already in slope-intercept form, you need it in slope-intercept form. Ugh. To graph. Okay, and I'm just going to go through two of these with you. One already in slope-intercept form, the other one won't be. There's a reminder that I need to give you, and then I'll make sure that I show you what to do over in Varsity because there's an extra click involved in doing these. So the first equation is going to be graph y is greater than 3/2 x minus 2. So this is already in slope-intercept form. So you're going to do what you normally would. Let me throw a grid down in here. So we're going to plot our y-intercept at -2. Excuse me. Slope is going to be up 3 and over 2. 1, 2, 3 over 2. And then we're going to use a dotted line because our symbol is a greater than sign. So I'm going to cheat. I have a nice dotted line here already. Let me take a minute to make this look nice and pretty. I'll change it to the same color that I have. So we'll make it blue. There we go. All right. And then after you get your line done, this is the next step, and it's the only different step. You need to remember that we have to shade. So I want you to pick a test point. It cannot be on the line. It cannot be on the graph line. And the easiest one, if you can, is to make your test point, TP, test point, 0, 0, as long as it's not sitting on that line. All right, so we're going to pick that. And then what you're going to do with it is plug it into the original equation. If my house phone here rings in a hot second, please just ignore it ringing in the background. Plug into the original equation and determine if the statement you have is true or false. So let's see an example of that, and then we'll talk about what to do if it's true or false. So we're going to take the original equation, which was y is greater than 3/2 x minus 2. We're going to use this test point of 0, 0. And we're going to let x be 0 and y be 0. So 0. So this cancels out. 0 is greater than -2. The question you want to ask yourself is this true or false? Well, 0 is bigger than -2, so it's true. So here's what you're going to do. If your answer is true, you're going to shade the graph, the coordinate plane, where the test point is, and everything on that side of the graphed line. Okay, so ours is true. So we're going to go back up. The test point is on the left-hand side of the line. So we're going to shade everything on the left-hand side of the line because anything over there is a solution. I could take this point and put it in and it'll be true. I could take this point and put it in and it'll be true. I could take this point and put it in and it'll be true. Everything over here is going to be true. Okay? Conversely, if your answer is false, then you will shade the side of the line. Oops, that's not the word that I want. That does not contain the test point. So this is something I want to see for all of your problems. I want you to write out. I want to see your test point. So you're going to write like literally TP test point is 0, 0. Show the substitution. And then state if it's true or false. So I expect all of this to be in your work when you turn it in to me. If you've got shading on the line and I don't know why it's there, you will not get full credit. Okay. This is you checking your work. It's also, if you have this, 2 is greater, or 0 is greater than -2, and you shaded, your test point was 0, 0, your line was over here, and this is a true statement, right? It's exactly what we just did up above. If you shade over here, that tells me you don't understand what that symbol means. So I want to be able to see all of your work. All right, one more example real quick, just to cover what happens. Oh, varsity. Let's go do that first. So this problem, I have it in varsity. It's up. So here was that graph, y equals 3/2 x minus 2. So you can see down here, you can tell that you have a solid or a dotted line. So you have to pick the right kind of line. Ours is dotted. And then you're going to graph it. So there's going to be 3 points. Put a point where your y-intercept is. There's my first point. Then I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and over 2. Another point to where my second point is based on the slope. And then you're going to put a point on one side or the other. And you can see how it shades based on what you did. So I picked the point 0, 0. So that's going to be my test point. And that's going to automatically shade that side of the line. Now, if your test point was false, just shade the opposite side. Okay. So I would Oh, whoop, that was show the answer. That won't be there when you guys do these problems. I would go through and submit that, and it will tell you what is all right. Now, if you make a boo-boo, the problem is you don't know if you graphed the line wrong, if you shaded wrong, if you used a solid line when you should have used a dotted line. It doesn't tell you where your mistake is, and there's lots of places to make them. So just be careful if you miss the varsity question. Really look very carefully at all of the things that you could have possibly done. All right, let's go look at one more example. And this one that was problem 9 we just did. We're going to do problem 10, which looks like this. 4x minus 2y is greater than negative 3. So the first thing we need to do here is put this into slope-intercept form. Right? Because that is not done, which is y equals mx plus b. Granted, this is going to be an inequality sign, not an equal sign, but you get the idea. So we're going to subtract off the 4x. That's going to leave me negative 2y is greater than negative 4x minus 3. And then we're going to divide by a negative 2. Remember to divide all your terms. And also remember, when you multiply or divide, an inequality by a negative, I'm going to change colors here to make this really obvious. The symbol, meaning the inequality symbol, switches directions. It flips around. And so that's going to happen here. This guy is going to become a less than because we are dividing everything here by a negative. Okay, so these are going to cancel, and I get y is less than negative 2 over negative 4, or negative 4 over negative 2 is a positive 2, and negative over a negative is a positive 3/2. Okay, so this is what we're going to graph. Notice that this is a improper fraction. As a mixed number, it would be 1.5. So we have 2. I'm going to write this down on another page. So we're going to go over to varsity and do this because I have this same problem over there. So remember, you need to ask yourself, dotted or solid? This one would be dotted. And then I'm also going to, after I graph it, choose my test point. So let's just sketch out a graph here real fast. 3/2 is 1 1/2. So I'm going to go up to 1 1/2. And then I'm going to go up 2. Now, when you go up 2 units, if I'm at 1 1/2, I have to go to 2 1/2, 3 1/2. That's 2 units, and over 1. I'm going to make myself just a dotted line. Okay, so I can use 0, 0 again as my test point. So my test point is going to be 0, 0. I'm going to plug it into the original equation. Because if you made a boo-boo in all of your math up here, then you don't want that boo-boo to carry over. So there's that home phone ringing. So just ignore that in the background. So we're going to plug in 0, 0. So I have... These are all going to go to 0. So 0 is greater than negative 3. That is a true statement. 0 is bigger than negative 3. So I would shade this side of the line. So it's important that you know what that looks like before you go to varsity. Okay. So let's go graph that over there. I'm going to go to question 10. And I'm going to plot this real quick. Dotted line up to 1 1/2. And then up 2 over 1, shade somewhere over here, and then you would be done. Okay? So that is all that's going to happen with this whole section, and we are done with chapter 3. Toodaloo!